Hey, how's it going? My name is Braydon Barrett, creator and owner of Look Like You Lift, and today I'm going to give you probably the most effective strength and muscle building program for beginners to intermediates. Now, who is a beginner? Because most of you guys that are watching this right now are probably going to think I'm not a beginner. I've been lifting for years. I know what I'm doing. I don't need this program. You'd be surprised. I get a lot of people throughout the years that I've worked with that have gone through CrossFit, who have done powerlifting, who have tried different attempts at strength training and muscle building, and they have made incredible gains from following this beginner framework. So you actually want to be a beginner. Trust me, your programming and your life is much easier when you consider yourself as a novice. So hear me out. At least look at the program and give it a shot for 4 weeks before you discredit it. So a little bit about me. I've been a strength coach for almost 9 years now. I have studied and worked with some of the top strength coaches in the nation. I've been a competitive powerlifter, competitive strongman, and I've also lost over 60 pounds of fat, and now I help men around the world do the exact same thing. And as you can imagine, from the name of my company, Look Like You Lift, the goal is to essentially get you really strong and really lean at the same time. This program that I'm about to give you is very similar to what my clients receive if they're brand new to lifting or if they're brand new to the Look Like You Lift system. So now, why is it so effective? Now, I need to give credit where credit is due. This program has evolved throughout the years. I've taken inspiration from Starting Strength, Mark Rippetoe, Barbell Logic, Barbell Medicine, Alpha Destiny, Jeff Nippard, just to name a few. As I've said, this program has evolved throughout the years of me being a strength coach, and it's going to continue to evolve. So I'm not saying this is the tried and true most perfect program. It's going to change throughout the years. But I encourage you to try it nonetheless. So let's get into it. So first, I want to go over what is needed when you're a beginner. We need to take a minimal effective dose approach. Now, if you guys have been watching me for a long time, you know what I'm talking about. Essentially, what we want to do is trigger the least amount of stimulus that's going to drive an adaptation. The adaptation in this case is going to be muscle mass and strength adaptations. So for example, if you only need to be in the gym 3 days a week and you only need a small number of exercises with a minimal amount of volume to drive adaptations, why then would I be in the gym 5 or 6 days with 7 or 8 exercises with multiple sets? It's just not necessary. So I start with minimal work, quality exercise selection, and volume and intensity selection, and work off of that. So exercise selection. Why are the exercises the way they are, and why are they laid out in the program? So I believe that when it comes to exercise selection, we want to have 3 things in mind. Number 1, does the exercise train the most amount of muscle mass at one given time? Number 2, does the exercise train in the most effective range of motion? And number 3, does the exercise allow for me to titrate the resistance by as much or as little as I need? Let's break those down a little bit. Question number 1, does the exercise use as much muscle mass as possible? So for example, I'm going to use the squat versus a leg extension. The leg extension only uses the quadriceps, whereas a low bar back squat will load the entire posterior chain. It loads arguably the entire musculature of the human body. So I'm going to err on more programming for the squat. Now, criteria number 2, does the exercise train in the most effective range of motion? There's a difference between full range of motion and effective range of motion. For example, I'm going to use the squat once again. Training ass to grass might be a full range of motion, but for a lot of people, that's not going to be effective because in order to get into that position, you run the risk of relaxing certain muscle groups to maintain that type of mobility. And then you contradict with criteria number 1. So I'm not saying not train ass to grass. I'm just using this as an example that we want to make sure the muscle mass that is being trained through the entirety of the range of motion without seeing any types of relaxation or lack of tension throughout that range. Criteria number 3, titration and resistance by as much or as little as necessary. What we're talking about here is if I need to add 2 pounds to drive an adaptation, I should be able to do that. If we look at an exercise like a kettlebell, if I go to my gym, I only have like a 2 kettlebell, 5 kettlebell, 10 kettlebell, and a 15 kettlebell. What if I need a 20 kilo kettlebell or 25 kilo kettlebell? I don't have that option. Now with a barbell, I'm able to add as little or as much resistance by just slapping on additional plates. And most gyms will have all the plates that I need to go as heavy as I want. So with those 3 criteria, we can quickly eliminate a lot of the exercises out there and narrow them down to a small list of exercises which we have compiled in our novice training program. Let's talk about sets and rep ranges. So what you'll notice is the majority of the exercises will have a rep range of 5. Why do we choose 5? Why 5? So when we're talking about the different adaptations in exercise physiology, we're talking about maximal strength output, muscular endurance. That's like the 2 stark differences. You have like maximal force output over here, maximal endurance over here. How long can you go? Now, I have found that the perfect medium between those 2 adaptations is around 5. I'm not saying that 5s are perfect. I'm not saying that's the only thing that you need, but I find it gets the job done for most people. Now let's talk about volume. You'll notice that this is relatively low volume. I mean, 3 sets of 5, 2 sets of 8, 1 set of 5 for deadlifts. It's relatively low volume. There's a reason for this. Number 1, I'm only accounting for your working sets. I'm not accounting for warm-up sets here. But also, I have found in my research and in my opinion, anecdotally and empirically, most strength adaptations and most muscular size adaptations actually come from the intensity of the set. How heavy can you go? How hard can you push yourself? So I'm not going to arbitrarily increase the number of sets to make the exercise harder when all I really need to do is just add weight to the barbell. Which brings me into my next point. How do we progress from session to session? Okay, so we have 2 training days. We have workout A, workout B. You alternate between workout A and B throughout the week. So this week will be A, B, A. Next week will be B, A, B. So how do we know that we're making progress? Every time that you do the exercise that is listed on your program, you have to make the exercise a little bit harder than last time. Easiest way to do that for most people is adding 5 pounds or 2 kilos to the working weight that you did last time. So let's say I came in and I squatted 100 pounds on Monday. Well, then on Wednesday, I'm gonna squat 105. Friday, I'm gonna squat 110. The following Monday, I'll squat 115. 115, 120, 125, 130. You can kind of see here how it'll quickly add up and quickly get harder and more difficult, right? So adding 15 pounds a week, eventually that will slow down, it'll ride its course, but if we can make the exercise harder just a little bit every single time, we're sending the necessary stress response to drive an adaptation. Now 5 pounds is a lot of volume if you think about it. 5 pounds over 15 work repetitions, that's 75 pounds of work. Okay, so it adds up. So don't knock adding 5 pounds every single session, it works. So that's the entire backbone, the explanation of the program. I encourage you to go look at the spreadsheet and use it for yourself. This has been extremely effective for my clients and it's evolved throughout the years. Now, my only piece of advice is when you come in on day 1 and you want to try this out, go light. I'm going to encourage you to go watch the instructional videos that are on my channel as well to learn how to do the exercises correctly. And so you're going to be learning a new form. And also you have to remember, going back to what we just talked about, you're adding 5 pounds every single time. So if you max out on your first day, you're not going to be able to add 5 pounds for a very long time. You're going to beat yourself up. Okay, so start a little bit lighter, start more on the conservative side, and then add 5 pounds from there. How long will this plan last? It depends on the person, and depends if you're doing it right, and it depends